Welcome back on Diamond. Today I want to propose you a video about
the review about the detachments of the Codex Prismarines 2023. So we have 7 detachments to talk about and the general rules about the Codex Prismarines. And we have to see some things related about the detachment. We have 7 detachments with its own rules, with their own detachment rules, so their own enhancements and their own stratagems. There are 7 of these that are associated to certain chapters, but they are not specified for those chapters. So you can use also and mix them together so that you can have, for example, the Imperial Feast, but play with a detachment that you would associate with something else. So not worry about this. And these 7 detachments are the Gladius Task Force, that is related about the Ultramarines, the Anvil Siege Force associated to the Imperial Fist, the IronStorm Spearhead associated to the Iron Hands, the FireStorm Assault Force associated to the Salamanders, the Vanguard Sperahead related about the Raven Guard, and these are the main chapters. Then we have the 7th one, that is the first company task force that you should associate with the Black Templars. So you have to pay attention about such things. Then we have to see that about the enhancements, you have to remember that there is the max number that you can use in your army are 3 and only 1 for each character, so pay attention about this. About the stratagems, there will be one that is common for all those detachment. Still we see it anyway. I repeat the same thing each time because it's useless otherwise. So now we can go to see about the army rules instead, and about this we can have quite a lot of intriguing part. We have so the off of moment that make that if your army faction is an Adeptus Astartes, obviously. At the start of your command phase, select one unit from your opponent army until the start of your next command phase. That enemy unit is your off of moment target. Each time a model with this ability makes an attack that target or your off of moment target, you can reroll the hit roll. So pay attention because this can be really quite intriguing, but you can target a single unit of the opponent. And about the Space Marine chapters, we have a specific rule that is that if an Adeptus Astartes unit has a second faction keyword or this detachment, that faction keyword in the name of that unit chapter. For example, Manus Calgar has both the Adeptus Astartes and the Ultramarines faction keyword, and is therefore from the Ultramarines chapter. You cannot include units from more than one chapter in your army, and it's as usual at the end. Still, you have to pay attention about such details because are really quite important how you approach such things. So now we go to see about the detachment themselves, because you have to remember the off of the moment because it's important, but those detachments can change quite a lot the way that you can play with your armies, so they are really quite important. Then we go to see about the Gladius task force, usually associated to the Ultramarines, and we can start with the detachment rules. We have so the combat doctrines. About this, I want to remember you that these usually are associated to all the armies of the Space Marines. These instead are apply only to this detachment. So the other detachment doesn't have the same rules about. Pay attention. So at the start of your command phase, you can select one. Remember, can select one of the combat doctrines listed below until the start of your next command phase. That combat doctrine is active and its effect apply to all Adeptus Astartes units from your army. You can only select each combat doctrine once per battle, so you can decide the order that you wish to apply such combat doctrines, but it can be used a single once per battle, so pay attention about this. Then we have these combat doctrines. The first one is the Devastator doctrines. This unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which is advance. So it's perfect for the first turn, for example, because you want maybe to redeploy, advance, and so on, and so be faster and still can shoot. So it's really quite intriguing. There were tactical doctrine. So this unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Remember that the closer it's that it has to fall back. So usually this it's applied in the second, third turn, so that you can have the combat and then fell back so that you can play such tactical dotting. Still not bad. Had the assault dotting that make that you can declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced. Here it goes to be a bit competitive with the status dotting, because that one let you shoot, this one let you charge. So it depends by how far you have from the enemy or what you want to create as options. So anyway, it's really quite nice. And then we go to see about the enhancements. So we have the artifice armor, that it's the basic one, the normal one about the Space Marines. So we have that it's adapted to starters only. The beer has a save characteristic of 2+, and the field of pain of 5+, and it's always amazing. The honor variant, adapted to status model only, add 1 to the attack and strength characteristic of the beer melee weapons, so it applies always such bonuses to attacks and strength. And while the beer is under the effect of the assault doctrine, add 2 to the attack and strength characteristic of the beer melee weapons instead. So this is really quite amazing, moreover, because there are tricks to make that this it's often available as options. So it's a way to have a model that has an increased amount of power. They have a depth of the Codex that it's captain model only. Remember, captain, so you can have different armors, it doesn't matter, but have to have the keyword captain at the start of your command phase if the build is on the battlefield. And here you have to pay attention. Instead of selecting a combat doctrine to be active for your army, you can select the tactical doctrine. If you do, until the start of your next command phase, that combat doctrine is active for the beer's unit only, even if you have already selected that combat doctrine to be active for your army this button. This it's really quite important, but you have to remember that instead of selecting a combat doctrine to be active for your army, you can select the tactical doctrine. So it means that you have to choose, or you apply such effect, or you have the combat doctrine applied to all the army. So this it's really one of the best, but you are really to focus what you need. There are anyway tricks that we see about the stratagems that make you really even choose, it's not a problem, but you are going to sacrifice something, so you have to understand which one eventually you need, because eventually it's better to use the combat doctrine that you need and use the stratagem to apply. Instead here use in the mix that you don't need a specific combat doctrine, and so you can apply such and then apply the stratagems. So this it's something that you have to remember that it's quite peculiar about. You have the fire discipline that make that it's a status adapted to starters only, while the bearer is leading unit. Remember, leading ranged weapon equipped by mods in that unit have a sustained hit 1 ability. In addition, while the bearer's unit is under the effect of the Devastator Doctrine, each time a mod in that unit makes a ranged attack, a such modified hit roll of 5+ score a critical hit. So this is really quite intriguing, and remember that to apply this, we see a stratagem that it's perfect to combine with this, so that even if you are not having as main the Devastator Doctrine, you could apply such thing. So eventually it can be really quite intriguing. It depends by the units that you are going to use, the model and the units themselves, because it changes that it's applied, for example, with something that is related about Melta or Plasma or massive shooting and so on. There you can see about the stratagems. We have the one that is common for all the detachments, that is Arm of Contempt. Here we can see that it's applied when your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its target. The target is one Adatus Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. And the effect is that until the end of the phase, each time an attack target your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So it's really quite good. Maybe not so big as effect as previously, but sincerely it's still nice. That we have only in depth does duty hand, and this is the classical one, because it's the last strike technically. So when in the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its target, the target it has to have one Adatus Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more attacking units attacks, and until the end of the phase, each time a mod in your unit is destroyed, if that mod has not fought this phase, do not remove it from play. The destroyed mod can fight after the attacking mod's unit has finished making its attack and then is removed from play. So this it's really quite intriguing, but remember that there is a clause that is each time a mod in your unit is destroyed if that mod has not fought this phase. So if it has fought, you can't apply this. So pay attention about the options about this stratagem. They have honor of the chapter that is in the fight phase. One added to start unit from your play, from your army, and the effect is until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by mod in your unit have the lance ability. If your unit is under the effects of the assault doctrine, until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration characteristic of such weapons by 1 as well. So this it's again something really quite intriguing. It's only in the fight phase, but it give you an ability to the weapons. So obviously it's amazing because it's lance, and with the strategies that we see, you can eventually really quite fast apply so that you can have this assault doctrine applied. So it's really quite intriguing one. Then we can see about the adaptive strategy, that it's the one that I was saying about, and it's one of the main one that you have to remember. So your command phase, one adaptive start unit from your army, select the devastator doctrine, tactical doctrine, or assault doctrine until the start of your next command phase. That combat doctrine is active for that unit instead of any other combat doctrine that is active for your army, even if you have already selected the combat doctrine this battle. So this it's a way to bypass everything, but it applies to a single unit. Remember about this, and remember that this it goes to be combined perfectly or with the general doctrines or with the announcements that let you have a unit select a specific doctrine and then you can use this. So you can really play a lot about this. It depends by the way that you want, because eventually you can have quite a lot, but it can make you reapply different and eventually the same doctrine even if you have yet used this. So it's a really quite important one. So we have the Storm of Fire that it's in your shooting phase, one adapted starting unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapon equipped by mods in your unit had the in your cover ability. If your unit is under the effect of the Devastator doctrine, until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration characteristic of such weapons by 1 as well. This it's always nice because if you think about units that can improve their own options about saving with the covers, here you ignore them, and so it's really quite intriguing. And remember that you have the adaptive strategy, so you can eventually make that specific unit that you want to apply such Storm of Fire have the doctrine, the Devastator doctrine active. So it's really quite useful. Then we have the squad tactics that when your opponent phase just after an enemy its unit ends a normal, advance, or full back move. Remember that you can apply before the other one because it's in your one, so in your command phase, and so it applies also in your opponent turn. So one Adeptus Astartes infantry or mounted unit from your army that is within 9 inches of the enemy unit that has just ended that move. Your unit can make a normal move up to d6 or a normal move up to 6 inches instead of it if it is under the effect of the tactical doctrine. So it can be make that you can approach the enemy unit or you can escape from it. So it can be really quite intriguing. Obviously there is a restriction that you cannot select a unit that is within the engagement range of one or more enemy unit. So it's not a way to make you have a special fallback. So remember that there are some limitations, but still it's really and always quite amazing one. So about this Gladius Task Force, I think that it's not bad at all. You can have a lot of options. It's basically applied on the strategic parts. You have to make a lot of combination and understand how you can play it, but it's really quite intriguing. And then we had the Anvil Siege Forge that is associated technically to the Imperial Fist. And so we had the ability that it's Shield of the Imperium that makes that ranged weapon equipped by the Adeptus Astartes models from your army have the heavy ability. If such weapon already has this ability, each time an attack is made with that weapon, if the attacking unit remained stationary, this turn add 1 to the wound roll. So this can be really quite amazing, moreover, because it can be really quite often applied with long range weapons that can be yet heavy, or that in a way you have a really great amount of options. So I quite like such thing. We can see about the announcements that it's Indomitable Fury, that it's applied only to Gravis model only. The first time the build is destroyed, roll a dice, and on a d6 at the end of the phase, on a 2+, set the build back on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed, and not within engagement range of any enemy units, with its full wounds remaining. So it's a full resurrecting option. This, if you want something that it's really going to be in danger, or that you go in close combat and risk to be destroyed, this it's a must-have because it's simply amazing. Then we have the fleet commander, that it's captain model only keyword captain. Once per battle, at the start of your shooting phase, you can select one point on the battlefield and place a marker on that point. At the start of your next shooting phase, place another marker on the battlefield within 12 inches of the center of the first marker. Then draw a straight line between the center of each of these markers. Roll on a d6 for each unit that the line passes through, over or through. On a 3+, that unit suffer d3 mortal wounds. Both markers are then removed. Sincerely, I don't like it too much because it's once per battle and it arrives in 2 battle rounds, different ones. So I don't think that it's so great because the opponent can simply avoid it, because you can simply make that you can't take more than 1 unit. So okay, technically you could save maybe some of the markers, but even it's not even so great. So it can be nice, it's really characteristic, but at the same time I don't think that it's so good. Then we have Stoic Defender, that it's adapted to starters model only, while the beer is leading unit. Modest in that unit has the Feel No Pain ability 6+, while they are within range of an objective marker you control, and while that unit is battle shocked, halve the objective control characteristic of Modest in that unit instead of changing it to 0. So here you have to think about some things. Okay, the 6+ of no pain, it's quite nice, but you have within the range of an objective marker that you control. So you have to control that objective. Remember that you have a range of 3 inches. So you have really to pay attention, because if you don't control it, you can't have it even if you are around the objective. And moreover, it's really quite intriguing about the halving, because technically should be in round up to the minimum of 1. So this it's quite intriguing, because if for example you think that you have the half of 1 and you go to 1, it's really amazing, because it means that the one that have an objective control characteristic of 1, they still maintain their own. But if it reaches 0 anyway, because it does and count the round down, not so great, because it means that it becomes useless. So it depends quite a lot based on the unit that you are going to attach this, so leading with this. So it's really quite nice, but you have to think attentively about how much you need this. They have Architect of War, that it's adapted to a starters model only, while the beer is leading unit again. Giant weapon equipped by models in that unit have the in your cover ability, and this simply it's a must-have, because if you think about this, it's perfectly combined with the one related about the detachment rules. So it's really something that it's the first one to choose, really. The other ones you can simply choose and they are convenient. Then we go to see about the stratagems. We have the Armor of Contempt, that it's common, as I said and I continue to say, about all the detachments. So when your opponent shooting phase or fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its target, one that was a starting unit from your army that was selected as target of one or more attacks, then the effect is that until the end of the phase, each time a target unit your unit worsen the armor penetration characteristic of the attacker by 1. Sincerely, it's nice, but it's related about the the VP that you are targeted about. Then we have rigid discipline that make that in the fight phase, one Adeptus start unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units. Your unit can immediately make a fallback move of up to 6 inch. Restriction: when making that move, your unit must end that move either wholly within your deployment zone or within a range of an objective marker. So it's really quite nice. Remember that you can associate this with the one that you will see here, that it's the Stoic Defender. So it's not bad at all, but it really something that it makes you fall back to 6, so not a problem, but only if you are able to reach or an objective or your life. So it's a bit limited about the applying, so pay attention about the limits. They have not one backward step, your command phase, one Adeptus status infantry, only infantry unit from your army within range of an objective marker, again limit of the objective marker, until the end of the turn. Double the objective control characteristic of modus in your unit, but it must remain stationary this turn. So this it's perfect combined with the detachment rules and so on. You can really create a lot of combination. Still, you have to understand if it's worth or not, because this it's literally to defend against a unit that try to steal your objective control eventually. So you have to pay attention about. They have no threat to crit. So in your shooting phase, one Adeptus started unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. The effect is until the end of the phase, each time a mod in your unit makes a ranged attack that targets a monster or a vehicle, you can reroll the wound roll. So really quite nice. You have simply to understand when it's needed. Obviously, you have to have the opponent that has monsters or vehicles, otherwise it's useless. Still, it's really quite intriguing one, because rerolling the wound, it's something that saves you, for example, the idea to have a character around a specific one. So nice. So we had the battle deal recall, and here we had that in your shooting phase, one Adeptus start unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapon equipped by mods in your unit have the sustained hit 1 ability. If your unit remained stationary this turn, then until the end of the phase, each time a mod in your unit makes a ranged attack, a successfully modified hit roll of 5 plus score a critical hit. And this it's perfectly to combine with the last announcement and the detachment rules. So this it's something that it's almost a pity not to be able to apply more than once each turn. Still, it's something that for sure you'll use quite often, because it's something that makes your unit, that specific unit, really quite abruptly devastating, really quite nice. The Hail of Vengeance that applies in your open shooting phase just after an enemy unit has reserved its attack. One Adeptus starting units from your army that has one or more of its mods destroyed as a result of the attacking unit's attacks. Your unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but must target only that enemy unit when doing so, and can only do so if that enemy unit is an eligible target. So a lot of restriction. It let you anyway shoot against, so it can be really a way to counter shoot, and really here you have to pay attention and remember that you had to add lost at least one of the models from these attacks, otherwise you can't apply. So there are quite a lot of strict limitation, but not bad. Sincerely, maybe it's a bit less than the previous one, but with a few combination has even more potential than the other one, the previous one about the Gladius task force. Here we have quite a lot of fun, interesting combination that can make you have quite a lot of shooting and quite a lot of control opportunities, because if you want to use this, you have to add the force to control the objective and shoot heavily. Then we can start with the IronStorm Spearhead detachment that we can associate with the Iron Hands, and the detachment route is simply amazing. It's armored rough. Once per phase, for each Adeptus status unit in your army, you can reroll one hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 damage roll made for a mod in this unit. So it means that you can apply the same of a stratagem to each unit, each phase. So it's simply an amazing one. It's worth even for only the detachment rule itself. We can see about the enhancements. So we have target augury web that it's an hour, so it has a range. Tech marine model only, while a friendly Adeptus starter vehicle model is within 6 inch of the mirror. Weapons equipped by that vehicle model have the lethal hits ability. So this is simply a must-have, because it's a way really to make the model in the middle and all around the vehicles to shoot and gain such amazing thing, really fantastic. Then we have the flesh is weak, Adeptus starter model only. The beer has the feel no pain 4+ ability, nothing to say, perfect. The Adeptus of the Omniscia, Tech Marine model only, once per battle round, remember only once but per battle round. When a saving throw is failed or for a friendly Adeptus status vehicle model is within 6 inch of the beer, you can change the damage characteristic of that attack to 0. Okay, only once, but technically you could save eventually a model, so not bad. You have to pay attention a bit. Then we have Master of Machine War, that it's an hour, so again a range. Adeptus Astartes model only, while a friendly Adeptus Astartes vehicle unit is within 6 inch of the mirror, that vehicle unit is eligible to shoot even if it is fell back or advance this turn. Remember that you had to be out of the vehicle itself, so not embarked, and close, so it's 6 inch, but still can be quite nice, moreover if you have eventually the advance part, so quite nice. But it's also quite good in the fallback, because eventually you can make that you approach and so the vehicle fell back, and you can then use the round of movements so that you can combine and reach better. But anyway, there are quite a lot of nice things. Then we can go to see about the stratagems. We have Unbound Conviction, that is command phase. 1 Adeptus start unit from your army that is below the starting strength. So remember that not full, but below the starting strength. The effect until the end of the turn, your unit can ignore any or all modifier to its statistic and or to any roll or test made for it, including also the Battleshock test, excluding the modifiers to the saving throw. So really quite intriguing this one, and sincerely it's quite nice. A pity about the restriction, because it's a restriction about being below the starting strength. Then we have the Armor of the Contempt. So when this it's something that we have seen and we see for all the detachment, when your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its target 1 Adeptus start unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. The effect until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Quite nice, but not the best, still really quite interesting. Then we have the Mercy is Weakness. So your shooting phase or fight phase, 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. The effect is until the end of the phase, each time a mod in your unit make an attack that targets a unit that unit targeted below its starting strength, the target has the sustained hit 1 ability, and when making such attack, if the attacking mod is a vehicle, a successful modified hit roll of 5+, score a critical hit. This is really quite good, but you have to remember that you can use this only if you target something that it's under full strength. So you have to pay attention about such detail. Still, if it is yet damaged, it can be really a way to finish it. So quite nice. Then we have the Vengeful Animus that make that the any phase just after an Adeptus Astartes vehicle model from your army with the Deathly Demise ability is destroyed, target that Adeptus Astartes vehicle model, you can use the stratagem on the model even if this was just destroyed. So it is destroyed and you can use it's a fast reply really. And the effect is do not roll 1d6 to determine whether mortal wounds are inflicted by your modest deathly demise ability. Instead, mortal wounds are automatically inflicted. So it's a really good thing. Okay, you lost a vehicle, but you can make that it for sure damage the opponent. So it can be really quite nice. Had an Ancient Fury, that is your command phase. One Adeptus Astartes Walker model for your army. The effect is until the start of your next command phase, improve your model move, focus, save, leadership, and objective control characteristic by 1, and each time your model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. So this is simply fantastic. It's a way to make a veteran of the Dreadnought or so on. So it's really quite intriguing. Remember that it's applied only to the workers anyway. So if you don't have any worker in your army, this can't be used. Then we have Power of the Machine Spirit, that it's applied when your opponent shooting phase. Just after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks, the target is one Adeptus Astartes vehicle unit from your army that was reduced below half strength as a resulting of the attacking unit's attack. So remember about such limitation, because otherwise you can't apply. The effect, your unit can shoot as it were your shooting phase, but must target only that enemy unit when doing so, and can only do so if that enemy unit is eligible target. So remember, only vehicle, only if those attacks make below a strength, but you can, I can say, reciprocate such damages. Still, you have to pay attention because it's a bit limited. Still, I think that this it's a really great detachment, because you had a detachment rule that is simply amazing, fantastic, crazy, and wow, because it's simply wonderful. So you have really to pay attention about what you need, because this can be really quite intriguing. It's mainly related about the vehicles, but it can have a lot of synergy with those, and can make you have quite a lot of impressive shooting or fighting way in those cases. So really, if you are thinking about an armored vehicle booster, this has to be one of your first choices, because it's simply amazing. And then we had the FireStorm Assault Force that we can associate with the Salamanders, and the detachment rule is the close range eradication. Ranged weapon equipped by Adeptus Astartes model from your army has the Assault ability, and each time an attack made with such a weapon targets a unit within 12 inch, add 1 to the strength characteristic of that attack. So if you are able to make in the short range, this is still quite valuable. Then we can see about the enhancements. We have Champion of Humanity, that it's applied only to Tacticus models, so the ones that has the keyword Tacticus. And while the bear is leading, so remember that you have to have Tacticus and lead a unit. Mods in that unit can ignore any or all modifiers to their characteristic and or to any roll or test made for them, so also the protection test, excluding modifier to the saving throws. And here it's quite interesting, because we are seeing in the IronStorm Spearhead that it was a stratagem. Here it's an announcement that it's always active for that unit, so quite nice. The War Tempered Artifice, that it's only for Adeptus Astartes infantry model, add 3 to the strength characteristic of the bear melee weapon. Nice. Then we have Forged in Battle, that to Astartes model only, where the bear is leading a unit once per turn. After making a hit roll or a saving throw for a model in that unit, you can change the result of that roll to a 6. So this is simply fantastic, because it means that you are, if you are not negating completely the saving throw, able to make a save for sure at least once for turn. So it's not bad, because it applies in your turn, your opponent turn, your turn, your opponent turn. So it's really quite intriguing one. Then we have the Adamantium Mantle, that it's only Adeptus Astartes model only. And each time an attack is allocated to the bear, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. If that attack was made with a Melta or Torrent weapon, change the damage characteristic of that attack to 1 instead. Really quite intriguing. So against certain armies can be really a way to save quite a lot of damage to that model. not bad. Then we can go to see about the stratagems. We can see about the arm of contempt, that is the same that we've seen for all the detachment, and it's only present about this. So we had that when your opponent shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its target, the target has to be one Adetus Astarte unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of its attacks. So the effect is until the end of the phase, each time an attack target your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So always nice, not perfect, but interesting. But then Crucible of Battle, that your shooting phase or the fight phase, one Adetus Astartes infantry unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase, so has yet to do this. Until the end of the phase, each time a mod in your unit makes an attack that targets the closest eligible target within 6 inch, add 1 to the wound roll. So not bad. In close combat it's always applicable. Against the shooting, if you are able to apply this, you have also the detachment rules, so you can make quite a lot of interesting parts, so not bad at all. And then we had the rapid embarkation, that is at the end of the fight phase, one Adetus Astarte transport unit from your army that has no model embarked within it, and one Adetus Astarte infantry unit for your army wholly within 6 inch of that transport. Remember that this is different from what you can technically embark, because there are situations when you can embark also the mounted models, so pay attention about such distinguish because it's important. Your infantry can embark within that transport. Remember that the restriction is that you cannot target an infantry unit that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units that cannot normally embark within that transport, or that disembark from a transport this turn. So the normal rules that forbid such things are still valid. Still, it could be quite intriguing, because if you are able to destroy the enemy unit and so on, you are able to save using the cover embarking in the transport. So it can be really quite intriguing, but it's not so easy to do, because you have also to be within the transport, so pay attention about such. Then we can see about the immolation protocols, that it's your shooting phase, one Adetus Astarte unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase, so as yet to shoot. And the effect is that until the end of the phase, torrent weapon equipped by models in that unit have the devastating wounds ability. Obviously, you have to have the part about the torrent weapons, so you have to remember about such, but still it's something that it's nice. Then we have Onslaught of Fire, that is your shooting phase, one of the start unit from your army that disembarked from a transport this turn and has yet to shoot. Remember that has to be disembarked from a transport. Then the effect is until the end of the phase, each time a mod in your unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible target within 12 inch, add 1 to the hit roll if one or more models are destroyed as the result of any of those attacks. Select one of those destroyed mod. The destroyed mod unit must take a battle shock test. So it's really quite intriguing, because it makes that you can make for sure the battle shock test if you destroy some models, and you can gain quite a lot of bonuses. So okay, but remember that you have to choose a eligible target within 12 inch. Okay, it applies also the detachment rule, so it's again still there are quite a lot of limitation about. They have Burning Vengeance, that is in your opponent shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has resolved its attack. One Adetus Astartes transport unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more attack units attacks, and the effect is one unit embarked within the transport can disembark as if it were your movement phase, and then can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but must target only that enemy unit when doing so, and can only do so if the enemy unit is an eligible target. So quite a lot of limitation, but could be really quite interesting, because you can use, for example, to move the unit and then use the opponent to disembark and shoot, and then your turn you'll behave normally. It's not bad at all. So this maybe it's not my favorite one, but close range it's quite intriguing about this. It's mainly playing about transport, about short range shooting, so it has quite a lot of potential. Maybe it's not my favorite, but sure has quite attractive parts. Then we had the StormLance task force that we can associate with the Vescals, and we had the detachment rule that is lightning assault, so as that to start a unit from your army are eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which they advance or fall back. So it's always available, so you can really make a sort of fast charge, retreat charge, and advance charge. So it's really quite intriguing about this. It's really to make combat about. We had the announcement that we can see with the Fury of Storm that it's only Adeptus Astartes mounted model, obviously, that improve the strength and armor penetration characteristic of the bearer melee weapons by 1, and each time the bearer ends a charge move until the end of the turn, improve the strength and armor penetration characteristic of the bearer melee weapon by 2 instead. And it perfect to combine if you see with the detachment rules, because it make you have that you are able to fall back, charge, and so apply quite a lot this one. And in a way, it's really quite a good improvement. Had then Portent of Wisdom, that it's adapted to status model only, where the bear is leading unit, remember only leading, it's applied. You can roll advanced rolls made for that unit. That again, it's perfect apply with the detachment rules. Then we have Fainting Fifth Roll, so that it's attached to start model only, while the bearer is leading unit again. That unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back. So it means that with this you can fall back, apply the detachment rule, so make that you can shoot and then declare a charge. So it's really quite intriguing. This one has a lot of potential. They were fainting with this, so, and the last one it's Hunter's Instincts, so that are applied to Adeptus Starters mounted models only. If the bearer unit is in strategic reserve, for the purpose of setting up that unit on the battlefield, treat the current battle round number as being one higher than it actually is. And this technically will mean, and I'm quite curious to see if Jew will fix this, that you can arrive with a unit in the first turn in such a way, because if you apply and count one more, it's this defect. So I'm really intrigued to see about what you can gain from this, because there are a lot of potential combo that you can create. Then we can go to see about the stratagems. We have, as usual, the Armor of Contempt. So this is applied for all the detachment. So your opponent shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, target one Adeptus start unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more attacking units of the attacking unit. Then the effect until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. It's always good, but it's not perfect. Okay, it's always quite nice. Hey, Blazing Fusillade, your shooting phase, one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that has not yet to shoot. So, the effect until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit as the Assault ability. If such a weapon already has this ability, until the end of the phase, the weapon has the sustained hits 1 ability as well. So not bad. It's a way to make that you can shoot better with the assault, and if you think that you can make a lot of advance and charge, it's really quite nice. The full throttle, that is your movement phase, one Adeptus status mounted or vehicle, excluding the workers, remember this specific, until the end of the phase. If your unit advance, do not make an advance roll for it. Instead, until the end of the phase, add 6 to the move characteristic of your unit, or 9 inch instead if your unit is mounted. So really quite nice, because it means that you can improve the movement without having a problem about having the rule for the assault. So nice, really nice. This it's a way to improve quite a lot your movement and being able to do all the other things without any problem. So nice. Then we have this, that is the shock assault, that is your charge phase. One Adeptus Astartes mounted unit from your army that has not declared a charge this phase. Defect until the end of the turn, you can reroll charge rolls made for your unit, and melee weapon equipped by models in that unit have the lance ability. This for sure, it's perfectly nice, because being able to reroll the charges and the lance are perfectly combined. They were ride hard, ride fast. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its target. One Adeptus Astartes mounted or Adeptus Astartes fly vehicles unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more attacking units attacks until the end of the phase. Each time an attack targets your unit, subtract one from the hit roll and one from the wound roll. This is really amazing. It means that you can survive quite more, because you give a penalty being only there, so you can make a sort of target that can be saved. So you can risk a bit with this, but remember that you can target a single unit, so you have to choose which one will be this unit that will suffer quite a lot in that round. Then we have Wind Swift Evasion, that is your opponent movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move. Target one Adeptus starting unit from your army that is within 9 inches of that enemy unit. And the effect is that you can make a normal move up to 6 inches. It means that you can or approach the enemy unit or move back, so make it that you make another side, or you can go to an objective, because anyway it's a movement. So really quite nice. You cannot select a unit that is within the engagement range of one or more enemy unit. Okay, you obviously, because otherwise you make a fallback, so it's not the same. Really, this is really quite nice, and can be used in a lot of different tactical ways. So this is mainly related about mounted model, as we've seen, but it has really quite a lot of options, and in my opinion has a lot of potential. If you are going to use the bikes or mounted models and so on, this can be really the best that you can gain, because you can bring the shooting, you can bring the option about the charge and so on, and harass a lot the enemy. So it has a lot of things that you can have fun with. Then we can see the Vanguard Sperahead detachment that it's associated technically with the Vanguard, and it's maybe one of my favorite of these detachments. So we can see about the Shadow Master, that is the detachment rule. We can see that each time a ranged attack target an Adeptus starter unit from your army, unless the attacking mode is within 12 inches, subtract one from the hit roll and the target has the benefit of cover against the attack. So it's amazing. It's really a defensive passive that I quite like. We can go to see about the enhancement. We had the Blade Driven Deep. So we had the Adeptus Start Infantry model only. Remember, infantry. While the bear is leading unit, so he had to lead to apply. Models in that unit had the Infiltrator's ability. I quite like, because it makes so that you can have an ability that usually would not be able to, so it can be really quite intriguing. Then we had the Ghost Wave Cloak. It's a Adeptus starter model only. The bear has the stealth and non-operative abilities, quite nice. Had the Execute and Redeploy. Phobos model only. I quite like, because I love the Phobos models. I know anyway a lot of people that don't like the Phobos armors, but I love such ones. So in your shooting phase, after the bearer's unit has shot, if that unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. If it does, until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to declare a charge, so you sacrifice the charging option. This cannot allow the bear unit to move more than once in your shooting phase. So okay, you have to pay attention about such, but it's quite nice, because it makes you maybe redeploy, so that after you shoot you can make you hidden and so on. So it can really quite strategic one, I like. So then we had the Shadow War Veteran, Phobos model only again, and I love the Phobos, as I said. Once per battle, remember, once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, the bear can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of the battle, increase the stratagem cost to your opponent by 1 CP. So it's perfect for the stratagems that are more common to be used again and again in the battle. so that you can make that your opponent has to sacrifice to be able to redo such things. So I think that it's quite good. Moreover, because once applied, not mind even if your model die, because simply it's still worth and applicable. So quite nice. Then we can go to see about the strategies. We can see about a deadly price. So it's start of the command phase. You target one attempt to start infantry or mounted unit from your army within range of an object marker you control. Remember that you have to control a marker, objective marker. Effect, that objective marker is said to be sabotaged and remain under your control even if you have no models within range of it, until your opponent control it at the start of the end of any turn. While an objective mark is sabotaged and under your control, each time an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, fallback, or charge move within range of that objective marker, roll a d6. On a 2+, that enemy unit suffer d3 mortal wound. This it's something that you should really think about usage, because usually only the tactical squad has the ability to keep the objective even if they go away from it. This is a way that applies to all the units that are infantry or mounted, and moreover you can make that you can try to make damages to the opponent. So it's really quite a good one. Sincerely, I suggest you to think about this because it's really quite intriguing. Then we had the armor of content that, as we've seen for all the other ones, it's common to all the detachments. So when your opponent shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its target, select one Adeptus Assault unit from your army that has been selected as the target of one or more of the attacks of the attacking units, so that until the end the phase, each time an attack target your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Still, as I said, it's good and so on. Maybe not the best. It's worth, but still, it's not necessarily something that you can really worth it. Anyway, surgical strikes. We have fight phase. One that to start infantry unit from your army that has not been selected to fight, so has set to fight. Until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by mods in your unit has the precision ability. So this could be really quite intriguing as option. So it's nice. Maybe not the best, but something that can be really quite intriguing. There were strike from the shadow, where your shooting phase, a unit of Adeptus Assaulted Infantry unit that has yet to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a mod in your unit makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit that is more than 12 inch away, in some way opposite of what we're seeing with the Salamander one. So improve the ballistic skill and armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. If one or more enemy models are destroyed as a result of those attack, select one of those destroyed models. That destroyed models unit must take a battle shock test. Sincerely, this, as we've seen, it's quite similar to what we've seen about the ones before, and the opposite one. And sincerely, I quite like, because it makes you able to have improved ballistic and armor penetration, and it's quite comfortable to be more than 20 inch away. Moreover, if you think that you can gain also that you are hit less, so it's quite nice. I quite like this one, and I think that it will be one of the most used about. Then we have calculated feint. So when your opponent charge phase, just after an enemy declares a charge, select one Adeptus Start infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target of the charge. Your unit can make a normal move of up to d6 or up to 6 instead if it is a Phobo or Scout Squad unit, so I quite like these things. Extinction, you cannot select a unit that is within engagement range of one or more enemy unit, because you are yet blocked in combat. But this make that you can make this move so that you can avoid the charge, you can go to control the objective, you can contest objective eventually, or you can really change a bit of things. So I think that it can be really quite intriguing. So this is something that it's really quite strategic. Okay, applicable only on Phobos and Scout, but as you've seen, this it's an army that will be more related about those. And we have done the guerrilla tactics. So at the end of your opponent fight phase, up to 2 Phobos and or Scout Squad unit from your army or one other Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army, remove those units from the battlefield and place them into strategic reserves. Each unit selected for this strategy must be more than 3 inches away from all enemies, so that you can't make that, okay, you save them, making them retreat in the way that fall back, but without having to pay any price. So it's really quite intriguing, and I quite like because it's up to 2 about or 1 Adeptus Astartes infantry, so you can choose a normal 1 or 2 of the other squad. So it's quite nice, and it's a good way to redeploy them, because you can make them move into strategic reserves and make them arrive successfully, or even when you deployed and move and so on, you wait for your opponent and then you change so that one unit that you yet deployed, you take off so that you make them come back. So I quite like such things. So sincerely, this it's really quite versatile, it's really quite ambitious. So I quite like the concept about this type of army, really amazing one. Obviously, it's based more about the Phobos and the Infiltrators ones, but you can gain eventually the rules and so on. But really, you have a lot of potential. This it's one that you can make a sort of way to move around the opponent and so make a sort of stealthy way. And I quite like this concept, as I said. And then we had the first company task force that we can associate to the Black Temple, that it's the last but not least of the detachments in this Codex Prismanis 2023, and it's the one that I like less, sincerely. Then we can see so the detachment rule that it's extremist level fit. So once per battle in your command phase, you can use this ability. If you do so until the start of your next command phase, each time a model from your army with the Oath of Moment ability makes an attack that targets your Oath of Moment target, you can reroll the wound roll as well. This would be really quite a good ability as detachment rule, but you have to pay attention that it's once per battle and then not like too much. So you have to be sure that when you select one model, one unit that you want for sure to make disappear, you apply such one, and it's your only occasion to do such. So pay a lot of attention about when use such detachment rule. So we can see about the enhancement. We have the Imperium Sword, that is Adeptus Astartes model only. Add 1 to the attack characteristic of the beer melee weapons. Perfect, nice. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, the beer can use this enhancement. If you do so until the end of the phase, add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons equipped by all other models in the beer's unit as well. So you can transfer the bonus of attack, but it's only once per battle that you do, so pay attention when you do such. So we have Fear Made Manifest, that it's an aura, so it has a range. Adeptus Astartes model only. While an enemy unit, excluding the monsters and vehicles, is within 6 inches of the beer, each time that unit fails a battle shock test, one model in the unit is destroyed, chosen by its controlling player, obviously. Once per battle, when such an enemy unit fails a battle shock test, you can choose for the 3 models in that unit to be destroyed in that way instead. So it's nice because it simplifies the option about making them fail the battle shock test, but you have to be able to make them fail the battle shock test. So pay attention because it's nice, and even it's once per battle, you can risk to have anyway 1 still. So it's not 1 added 1d3, but it's still 1d3. So it's a risk that you can still have 1. So you have to pay attention. And then Rights of War, that it's about the Adeptus Astartes Terminator model only. So remember that it has to have also Terminator armor. Improve the object control characteristic of the beer by 1. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, the beer can use its enhancements. If it does, until the end of the phase, add 1 to the object control characteristic of all other models in the beer unit as well. This it's more particular, and I think that it's the most interesting because it makes that you can increase the object control so that you can eventually steal the control from the opponent. So this could be really quite intriguing eventually. Then we have IronStorm, that it's Adeptus Astartes Terminator again only, model only. The beer has a final pain of 5+. Once per battle, after the bearer unit is selected as the target of one or more attack, the bearer can use the enhancement. If it does so, until the end of the phase, models in the bearer unit has the Feel No Pain of 5+ ability. So nice, because you have still the ability always, but you can transfer it for a bit, for one turn, to, or better, one phase, to the other models. So if you are really risky to be vaporized, could be a really great choice. Then we can see about the strategies. We can see the armor of contempt, that again is the same all the detachments. So when your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, both the players, just after an enemy unit has selected its target, select one target Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that was selected as target of the attacks of the attacking units, and until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So still nice, but not so amazing, but still it can be quite useful. Then we have the Heroes of the Chapter, that is your shooting phase or the fight phase. Select one Adeptus Astartes Terminator, Bladeguard Veteran Squad, Starguard Veteran Squad, or Vanguard Veteran Squad unit from your army that has not yet shoot or fought. And the fact is that until the end of the phase, each time a mod in your unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If your unit is below half strength, add 1 to the wound roll as well. This it's really quite nice, because it makes a lot of units, even if they are specific and elite unit to select, but it makes you have better hit roll, and eventually if you are below the half strength, so you suffer a lot of damages on your unit, you can also improve your wound, so it can be really a great choices eventually. Then we have the Terrifying Prophecy. Here we have your fight phase, and we can see that you have to target one Adeptus Astartes Terminator, the Bladeguard Veteran Squad, the Starguard Veteran Squad, or the Vanguard Veteran Squad unit from your army that has made a charge move this turn and destroyed one or more enemy units this phase. So you have to pay about attention, because it say one or more enemy units, not models, so it's really quite heavy, this one. Definitely it's that if in your opponent's next command phase, each enemy unit within 6 inches of your unit must take a battle shock test. If that unit taking that test is below the half strength, select 1 from that test. Enemy units affected by this strategy does not need to take any other battle shock test in the same phase. So nice, but you have also to pay attention that you have to make the charge move and destroy units to be able to apply in the next combat phase the enemy units, the combat phase of your opponent, in the way that the enemy units within 6 inches has the option about the battle shock test. It's really quite great, but you have to pay attention, because it's with a lot of restriction to talk about. Then you have the Duty and Honor, that is in your movement phase. You select one Adeptus Astartes Terminator, Bladeguard Veteran Squad, Starguard Veteran Squad, or Vanguard Veteran Squad that it's within range of an object marker you control. And the effect is that that object marker remain under your control even if you have no models within range of it until your opponent control at the start of end of any turn. So it's similar to what we've seen with the previous one about the Raven Guard, but this it's without the counterattack of the parts, so it's quite nice. And the other one was generally about the infantry units. Instead, this is with specific units, so you have to pay a bit of attention about this. Then we have the Orbital Teleportarium, that it's at the end of the opponent fight phase. You target one Adeptus Astartes Terminator unit from your army, so you have to pay attention about this, even if it's logical, because are the Terminator that are with the teleporting. And the effect is remove your unit from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserve. It will arrive back on the battlefield in the reinforcement step of your next movement phase using the Deep Strike ability. Here it's specific compared to the one we've seen also in the Raven Guard one, because it makes you decide for sure when you arrive, but how you arrive. So the Deep Strike ability, so it's specific. Obviously you can't choose one that is in the close combat, so engagement range with one or more enemy units. Sincerely, this it's really quite nice, and it's something that it's quite fun to think. Obviously, if you want to use, you have to add terminators for sure. That can be the characters or the units. They had the legendary Fortitude, that it's your opponent charge phase. Just after an enemy unit ends a charge move, so remember, ends a charge move, you select one Adetus starter terminator, Blade Guard veteran squad, Stangard veteran squad, or Vanguard veteran squad unit that is within the engagement range of that enemy unit, so you have to have one of these units that has been charged. And the fact that it's that until the end of the turn, each time an attack is allocated to a mod in your unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. So really good, because it makes that you can save quite a lot of damages, so you can even save a lot your models. And okay, simply you know that if you want to play with this type of detachment, you have a lot of options that are once per button that can be amplified, and the strategies are mainly related about specific units that are the Terminators, the veterans in general. So you have to pay a bit of attention about this. So you have to compose a rooster that is based on such unit to be able to apply such ones. Still, it can be quite intriguing as an elite way of have the Space Marines. So it has quite a lot of interesting parts, and I played such similar roosters in the past, so I can quite sympathize about them. Still, it's not so my main style about this with this type of rules, but it can be really quite interesting. So what to say about such detachments? I think that they are really quite interesting. All of them are their own really interesting features that you can play a lot with and characterize a lot your armies. Sincerely, I think that they have quite a lot of workaround to play with, because you can have a lot of fun in different ways and play different styles and so on. And sincerely, I prefer such way, so that you can, for example, use models from a certain chapter with a certain type of detachment, even if you associate usually that attachment to a certain type of chapter itself of the Space Marines, famous one. Still, being able to use this make you recall what is the Codex of the Space Marines, so that you can adapt different strategies to your chapter. So this it's really something that I quite like. I hope that in the future will be going to be released added detachments. Moreover, because you can't mix them, so you have to choose the one that you want to use. And really, there are a lot of things that you can try and try different styles and so on, and still use the same army. So the same army but with different style of play, and I quite like such idea. So from that mode it's everything. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell so to receive notification about new video, to comment under here about this video, or if you want to suggest me new videos. So I hope to see you again to the next time.